Hello Barcelona family, enjoy this video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have 3 very important updates about our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. Marc-André ter Stegen is going through one of the most challenging periods since his arrival at Barcelona, marked by uncertainty, disappointment, and above all, a sense of injustice that resonates throughout the locker room and among many Barcelona supporters. The German goalkeeper, who for years has been one of the team's most solid pillars and an indispensable figure in the most complex moments, has received clear signals that he is no longer part of the club's sporting plans. Far from being a natural transition towards the future, this is seen as a premeditated strategy to force his exit through the back door. And most painfully, all this seems to be happening without a truly justified sporting reason. The names of Deco and Hansi Flick emerge as the main figures responsible for this change in direction that has left Barcelona fans perplexed. According to sources close to ter Stegen himself, both men have clearly indicated to the German that he is no longer considered a key figure in the project that is beginning to take shape for the new season. This news came as a bombshell to the goalkeeper, who had recently returned from a long injury with the ambition of regaining his best form and reclaiming his place in goal. He had done everything to return as soon as possible. Intensive recovery sessions, physical, mental, and emotional sacrifices, with the sole intention of putting himself back at the service of the badge. And now, just as he is ready to compete, he finds himself facing a closed door. Those close to him do not hesitate to point out that there is a campaign to push him out of the club, a silent strategy being executed from the offices without giving him the opportunity to show that he can still be useful. Flick, recently arrived on the bench, would have approved this line of action, supported by a Deco who, from the sports management, seeks to completely renew the goalkeepers with younger profiles or those representing a lower economic cost. But in all this movement, there is something that grates deeply: the lack of humanity, tact, and respect towards one of the great names of the last Barcelona cycle. Ter Stegen has not only been one of the best goalkeepers in the world at his peak, but he has also shown himself to be a figure committed to the club, even in the darkest moments. He has lived through sporting crises, coaching changes, internal restructurings, painful eliminations, but he has always been there. He has not raised his voice, has not generated conflicts, has not demanded protagonism above the group. He has been a silent but firm leader, someone who, even when things were not going well, never stopped working and fighting. And this is how his commitment is being repaid. The club has already started moving pieces to open the exit door for him. It is even considered to partially compensate him for his contract if he agrees to leave, but he, with a contract valid until 2028, is not willing to give in easily. Not because he wants to cling to his salary, as has been insinuated from certain sectors, but because he believes he still has the level to continue defending the team's goal and wants to prove it. And this attitude, far from being selfish, is that of an upright professional who does not give up easily and does not accept injustices disguised as technical decisions. The news about Joan Garcia's rise to the starting lineup and the contacts to recruit a new foreign goalkeeper have only increased ter Stegen's discomfort. All this confirms that he is no longer even considered a valid option within the group. And although he has not wanted to speak publicly about this situation, his position is firm. If they want to do without him, let them do so openly, with honesty and respect, and not through hidden maneuvers and decisions leaked to the press. The economic issue also looms in the air. Ter Stegen has one of the highest salaries on the team, and this seems to be one of the main reasons for his eviction. At a time when the club is looking to reduce the wage bill and optimize resources, his departure is seen as a way to free up a significant amount. But can't more dignified negotiation formulas be found? Is it necessary to turn him into a problem when he has been a fundamental part of so many solutions in the past? This situation generates a highly volatile scenario within the locker room. The goalkeeper position is one of extreme sensitivity, and any decision related to it directly affects the emotional stability of the group. The figure of Joan Garcia, for example, may find himself unnecessarily under pressure if he takes over the starting position in a context where his predecessor has been sidelined without consensus or recognition. No one is being served, and especially not the young goalkeeper, if his rise occurs in the midst of a conflict and with a living legend of the club as a constant shadow. And this is where the club's responsibility comes in, because beyond the sporting and contractual aspects, there is an emotional, institutional, and historical dimension that cannot be ignored. As a Barcelona supporter, I can only feel sadness and indignation at the way this situation is being handled. Not only because we are losing a great goalkeeper who still has a lot to offer, but also because we are failing at something deeper: the way we treat our own, the way we take care of our history, the way we respect those who have sweated for the shirt with pride. And that is why I also address you, Barcelona fans at heart. What do you think of this situation? Are we really ready to see how a player like Ter Stegen is treated this way without raising our voices? Do you think what is happening is fair? Do you think Flick and Deco are acting correctly, or are they making a mistake that could cost us dearly? Because in the end, this is not just a matter of a goalkeeper, but a matter of identity, values, and consistency with what we have always been as a club. It is not about hindering the evolution of the team. We all understand that we must look to the future, that cycles end, that projects are renewed. But this is not incompatible with gratitude. We can build new things without destroying the old. We can pave the way for the young without despising those who have brought us this far. And in this case, this is precisely what is being done wrong. Ter Stegen deserves a different exit, a different conversation. He deserves respect for his decision to want to continue. And if in the end he is convinced to leave, let it be with all the honors, and not through a strategy of attrition, as if his presence were a threat. Because if we start treating our legends this way, what message are we sending to those who come after? Who will want to give their all for this badge if they know that, when the end comes, they will be ignored and sidelined without a word of gratitude? The second piece of news concerns another significant decision within the club. Barcelona has made a firm and courageous decision that marks the beginning of a new era. Andreas Christensen will not continue with the club next season, despite having a contract until June 2026. The Danish defender has already been informed that he does not fit into the plans of the new sporting project led by Hansi Flick. This news, which has been in preparation for weeks, was confirmed after a thorough evaluation of the squad situation, the team's needs, and economic viability in view of a deep restructuring. From a Barcelona perspective, this move should be seen as a step forward, as unequivocal proof that the club has decided to leave behind its immobility and focus on consistent, courageous, and beneficial decisions, both sportingly and financially. The arrival of Flick on the bench has brought with it a new mentality, a different way of understanding competitiveness, team structure, and the demands of a squad that needs urgent regeneration. The German coach has been clear from day one. There will be no place for players who do not fully fit into his philosophy. Christensen, although a correct footballer with some remarkable performances and an acceptable presence in previous seasons, does not represent the profile Flick needs to build a solid, constant, and flawless defense. The German coach wants players with an imposing physical presence, great concentration, and, above all, reliability. In these terms, the Dane no longer meets the essential requirements to be part of the new defensive axis that is being planned. The decision, although it may seem harsh from a human point of view, is perfectly understandable from a sporting perspective. Since his arrival at the club in 2022, Christensen has never managed to establish himself as an indisputable reference. Although he had a promising start and left good impressions, his performances have diluted over time, and frequent injuries have undermined his continuity and ability to compete at the highest level. In total, the central defender has played only 80 matches in 3 seasons, a figure well below what is expected for a player in his position in a team like Barcelona, where the demand is maximum and every match counts. The lack of regularity ends up taking its toll. Moreover, the club's financial context necessitates such decisions. Christensen earns approximately €9 million gross per season, a figure too high for a player who has not been decisive and who, moreover, arrived without a transfer cost. Precisely for this reason, his sale could now represent a significant net income for the club's coffers. Having arrived freely from Chelsea, any amount obtained for him will be accounted for as a full gain. This is a key advantage at a time when every euro counts and the sports management is looking for ways to reduce the wage bill without weakening the squad. In this sense, the operation makes perfect sense. It is not just about parting ways with a footballer who has not met expectations, but also about optimizing the club's resources and generating room for maneuver to incorporate new profiles better suited to Flick's style and demands. And if, in addition, a high-cost player is released and space is open for new signings, then the decision is not only valid but should be applauded. The player's entourage has already started moving to find him a new destination, and one of the main candidates is Arab football. Specifically, Al Nassr has shown strong interest in his services, which would represent a perfect solution for both the club and Christensen himself. Saudi Arabia has become an active market for many European players, and clubs in this region are able to offer high salaries and interesting transfers. The Saudi option would allow Barcelona to conclude the operation quickly and efficiently, ensuring immediate income without the need for endless negotiations with European clubs that might not be able to afford his salary. What is clear is that Hansi Flick has given the green light to the operation. Not only does he approve of it, but he also considers it key to launching the revolution that the squad needs. The German does not want the project to stagnate in the mistakes of the past. His goal is to build a modern, competitive, ambitious team with a defined identity. For this, he needs players in top form, committed, intense, and capable of adapting to his style of pressing, possession, and quick transition. Christensen, although tactically correct, does not fully fit this mold, and his departure precisely responds to this need to make way for a new cycle. We cannot remain anchored in conformism for too long. The club has kept players who, although having good conditions, did not contribute enough to make a difference. That time is over. Now, the logic of performance, commitment, and economic viability prevails. It is time to be brave, to make decisions that bring us closer to the objectives and distance us from mediocrity. Christensen's departure, far from being a loss, should be seen as an opportunity to add, grow, and evolve. From a Barcelona perspective, this operation is an example of responsible management. Finally, we see a sports management capable of making unpopular but necessary decisions. Finally, we see a club acting with a future vision, thinking not only short-term but also about sustainability and competitiveness in the medium and long term. And this, beyond specific names, is what really matters. Barcelona is rebuilding step by step, with consistency, courage, and a clear idea of where it wants to go. This is also the time to open the debate among supporters. What do you think about Christensen's departure? Do you think it is a wise decision by the club? Do you think Arab football is a good destination for him? Do you agree that such decisions must be made to streamline the squad and pave the way for new profiles better suited to Flick's project? The club needs to know it can count on the support of its supporters to continue moving forward with these difficult but necessary decisions. One thing is clear: there is no reconstruction without sacrifices. And if Barcelona wants to become what it once was, it must take measures like this without looking back, without hesitation. Christensen's departure is not just a sporting matter, it is a statement of intent, the confirmation that a new cycle is beginning, a cycle in which there will no longer be room for conformism, in which every decision will be analyzed with demand, and in which performance will be the only measure. That is why, as Barcelona supporters, we must look at this departure with optimism, maturity, and hope. Because only in this way, step by step, will we be able to bring Barcelona back to its rightful place. The third piece of news concerns a major move that needs to be confirmed at Barcelona. Barcelona is closely following Miguel Gutierrez, one of the most interesting fullbacks in the Spanish scene and a current key player for Girona. Despite the noise coming from Italy and the supposed interest from Juventus, Barcelona has not remained idle. On the contrary, they are seriously considering the possibility of incorporating the young defender in the medium term, aware that his profile fits perfectly into the style of play they want to consolidate in the club's new phase. Miguel, who was trained in the Real Madrid Youth Academy, has garnered admiration in many sectors of European football, but it is at Barcelona where it would make the most sense for him to land. Here, unlike his former club, talent is valued without prejudice, and they believe in the evolution of the footballer above the badge he has defended in the past. The interest from Juventus is real, but let's not be mistaken, Turin has long ceased to be a reference for young talent. It is a club immersed in an eternal reconstruction, changing coaches more often than winning titles, and for years, it has lacked a clear footballing identity. Claiming that Miguel Gutierrez would make a qualitative leap from Girona to Juventus might look good on paper, but we all know that today, it is not a destination that guarantees growth. On the other hand, landing at Barcelona would mean integrating into a project with a recognizable style of play, where he could be molded, given playing time, and allowed to grow with time, trust, and, above all, elite-level demands. At Barcelona, one thing is very clear: fullbacks are not mere complements, they are a vital part of the team's engine. They are required to have technique, endurance, tactical intelligence, and the ability to combine play. Miguel Gutierrez has shown at Girona that he is not just a strong defensive fullback but also a player capable of integrating into offensive phases, interpreting the game from within, and offering different solutions in ball possession. His evolution has been notable, all within the environment of Montilivi, where the demands are different. Imagine what he could achieve in a bigger context, surrounded by players with better technical abilities and with a coach who would give him continuity. That is why, although his release clause is set at €35 million, at Barcelona, this does not seem like an unreasonable operation. On the contrary, the sports management knows that this figure can be manageable if his arrival is prioritized as a strategic investment. What is clear is that if the club decides to go for him, the negotiation with Girona will not be simple. They highly value Miguel and are not willing to let him go easily, but they also know that Barcelona represents a leap in quality, a springboard impossible to refuse for any ambitious young player. And if we say Barcelona, and not Juventus, nor Arsenal, nor Leipzig, it is because there is a place where Miguel could elevate his level and gain the recognition he deserves, and that is at Camp Nou. It is ironic, by the way, that Real Madrid let a fullback like Miguel, who meets all the requirements they usually demand from their modern defenders, slip away without knowing how to take advantage of or protect him. But that is clear. In that club, they have always had more of an eye for media signings than for taking care of their young talents. That is the difference with Barcelona, which, when it identifies talent, does not hesitate to bet on it, even if it comes from the eternal rival's youth academy. What matters is the player, not his origin. Miguel was not sufficiently valued at Valdebebas, and now he can be a unique opportunity to strengthen Barcelona and, in passing, send another strong message. When they waste talent, we turn it into gold. From a tactical point of view, his integration would be immediate. A left-back with a good foot, capable of adapting both to a four-man defensive line and to a scheme with more offensive corridors. This versatility is pure gold in modern football, where each match demands different solutions. Miguel can give you width but also combine inside. He can be depth but also balance. Ultimately, he is the type of player who is not easy to find and who, if not recruited now, will be much more expensive tomorrow. Moreover, his experience in the top division has already toughened him. He has played high-demand matches, faced the big teams, and never shied away. His evolution is not the result of chance but the outcome of work, intelligence, and a conviction that has led him to become one of the most reliable fullbacks in the league. It is no coincidence that he is one of the few who has maintained a high level in a Girona that has seen some of its key pieces decline after the departure of offensive references. Miguel has continued there, firm, regular, growing match after match. That is why I do not understand how we can allow a talent like him to get close to Juventus without Barcelona having yet made a decisive move. Are we going to let a club that does not even fight for its championship, that plays a style of football that even its supporters do not understand, and that has been in institutional crisis for years, take a player who could be key in our fullback position? I do not believe it, I do not want it, and that is why I pose the question to all Barcelona supporters. Are we ready to lose the opportunity to have a player like Miguel Gutierrez in our squad? We know that the market is complex, that there are priorities, that resources are needed, but we also know that there are operations that mark the future, that define the type of club we want to be. Betting on Miguel would demonstrate that we continue to believe in real football, in intelligent, technical, and committed players. It would be a strong statement, not only on a sporting level but also symbolically, to recover and revalue someone who was underestimated by our greatest rival. What sweeter way to write a small footballing revenge? That is why, from this Barcelona perspective, I can only urge the club not to let this opportunity pass, to carefully study the figures, to move intelligently, and to do everything possible to have Miguel wear the blue and red. Because he deserves it, because we need it, because we cannot allow a player who can make a difference in the coming years to slip away due to a lack of vision. And you, Barcelona supporter, what do you think? Do you think we should go for Miguel Gutierrez before Juventus recruits him? Wouldn't it be magnificent if a talent that Madrid let slip away triumphed at Barcelona and silenced all those who underestimated him? Because we want a Barcelona that is brave, ambitious, and capable of betting on the best, regardless of their past, always looking forward. Leave us your opinion in the comments.